We have to adjust to taking our mental wellness just as seriously as we would take our physical wellness.
The Chamber of Commerce. I believe that through hard work and perseverance, many things can be done.
You know, I'm getting to a point where I want to see the young people take the mantle, take the light, take the torch, whatever they got to take, and run with it. 16, 19 on down to today, we need to know history. And we need to teach it. We need to show the students and teach them about what happened in this country. You know, we can't sweep this under the rug.
We are here working together, and as Dr. King says, we're all in this boat together. We're doing great things, but we still have a far piece to go.
Good evening, and welcome to a new edition of Urban Sentinel Live. Yes, it's Monday night, and what do we do on Monday night? We do Urban Sentinel Live. Tonight, I have with me a special guest, someone that can make life brighter and happier for you. Better known as Sage the Coach. Good evening, Sage the Coach. How you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me on. And how are you doing as well?
Well, I'm doing fine, and I want to thank you for being a part of the Urban Sentinel Live show tonight. Just a little quick background on Sage the Coach, Miss Stephanie. She lives in Minnesota since 2015. That's her home. She has a passion for helping people with their relationships and trying to figure out, you know, where they're going, trying to heal their mind, body, and soul, you know, through, spirituality, you know. She's just doing it with God's help, you know, and that's something that's great. That is great, you know. So we're going to be talking tonight about coaching, about, you know, how to get you to the next level in your relationship, you know, how to make that relationship work, you know, because we all can learn from some nuggets, whether you're married, single, or whatever. You can always take these nuggets and apply it to your daily life. So tell me, Sage, the coach, how did you end up becoming a coach, a certified life relationship coach?
Yeah, so let me say, so first, like you talked about with my books, I've always been a writer. So I've been writing since I was, I think first or second grade. I started writing stories that elevated to poetry, essays. Once I got into college, you know, more kind of longer essays and bigger pieces. And, you know, as soon as I got to school, I always wanted to be an author. And so that was a thing. But every time I wrote something, even when I was a kid, it was always to teach a lesson. You know, I remember when I was a kid, I wrote a story about some animals needing help with something. And then there was a lesson at the end of it. And so because my books have already always revolved around teaching lessons and kind of understanding life from like a deeper place, it's just a natural fit that I just kind of got into coaching. I'm always that type of person that people came to for advice and things like that. So I would say I was a coach before I was actually certified as a coach, because I've always been that person that people come to for advice. And then eventually, as I got older, and I'm like, you know, I heard about a coach because I didn't know that they existed before. Then I was like, you know, I'm going to get certified in this. And so I went to an online school, and I believe so far I have about 6 certifications, and I'm working on the 7th one.
Okay. Yeah. And you made a very good point there. At one time, you didn't know about coaching. And for me, I didn't know about it either. Seems like, would you say in the last 10 years, life coaches has become a norm in our society?
Yeah, I would definitely say that, because before I had never even heard of a coach. You know, usually if you needed somebody to talk to, you go to therapy or a counselor or somebody around that you can trust. Even sometimes I would talk to my professors at school. But when I heard about coaching, it was, I would say even for me, within the last 5 years is when I kind of heard about it, maybe 7. And since then, because even when I first heard about it, I didn't hear very many people being coaches. But now it's everywhere, and it's so many different types of coaches, health coaches, entrepreneurial coaches, business coaches. Like there's so many different type of coaches now that I would definitely say it has exploded, especially within the past 5 years.
Because when you look back at Les Brown, we always heard of him being a motivational speaker. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah,
Motivational speaker, but now he's a life coach now.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
tied to switch, but that's what we wanted to listen to Les Brown. That was the
yeah,
big thing at one time.
yeah,
Robbins was another one that was a
yeah. Tony
motivational
Robbins. Yeah,
speaker.
yeah,
But that's what we considered them. But like I said, now everything has mushroomed and bloomed into being a coach.
yeah.
Uh, and there are a lot of coaches around. So
Mm.
if you're going to say solicit a coach for your, a relationship coach, life coach, whatever, to come in and to kind of help you with some guidance. How do you determine what type of coach you need and who's the best person to coach you?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say is like the reason why the industry has exploded so much, in my opinion, especially within the last 5 or 10 years, is that there's no regulation on the industry. So if you want to be a therapist, you have to go to school, you have to take class, you have to get a degree if you want to be a counselor and so forth. But there's no regulation on the coaching industry whatsoever. So anybody can technically call themselves a coach, and you don't even have to be certified. Like it's not illegal or anything like that. So now it's just up to the people who come to you if they want to entrust you with whatever they think they need help with. So if you're calling yourself a coach, but you don't really have good skills in it, and then people pay for your services and you're not a good coach, then that's going to reduce the ability for you to get more clientele, of course. So you definitely want to be good at what you do, even though the industry is not regulated. I believe because of how it has exploded so much that it is heading towards being regulated at some point. Because there's just so much, and there are so many schools that will train you in certification, and some of them are bad, some of them are good, but that's the reason why I think it has exploded. And so when you want to look for a coach, you're going to have a lot of options, like because there's just a lot of coaches everywhere. So the first thing that I would do in looking for a coach is to, of course, what do you need the coach for? Because there's a lot of different type of coaches: a life coach, a relationship coach, a health coach, a spiritual coach. Like I can't even name all the ones, and I'm still hearing of different coaches that I've never heard of before. I think last week I heard of a acceleration coach, and I was like, well, what is that? I don't know what that is.
What is that?
Yeah. So I would look for first exactly what do you need the coach for, because you always want to gravitate towards those people that's kind of specialized in the help that you're looking for. So if you need help with your health and things like that, that's where you want to go. If you're trying to start a business and you need some kind of help with that, you can go into a business coach or entrepreneurial coach. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be to look at reviews, look at reviews of what other people are saying, because everybody's going to soup themselves up and make them look like they're better than what they are. But reviews is always a good way to kind of get feedback that's not biased to some degree. And then the third one is take a free session. Most coaches offer a first free session. And so as a matter of fact, I also offer a first free session. So even if you, you check all the boxes, okay, you know what you need a coach for, and you read reviews and you kind of want to gravitate towards a particular coach, take a free session and take some time and see if that coach really has what you think you might need to kind of get out of whatever rut you're in your life. So those are the three things that I would use.
Okay, good. As far as certification, then what organization or school are you using for your certification purposes?
I went to a school that I found on Udemy. They have a bunch of courses there. It's called Transformational Academy. They have courses there, but they also have their own website with a bunch of certifications and coaches. It's a husband and wife team. And they have been in the industry for many years, and so they've gotten to the point where now they kind of educate other people that's getting into the industry. Again, you do have to be careful who you take to get your certification, because it is a lot of garbage out there, or a lot of quick courses that don't really go in depth. But their courses are really good. And I took the first one, took the second one, and I decided to take more of their classes because of how good they really are.
Mhm.
And like I said in the beginning, I have 3 certifications through them now, and I'm working on the 7th one. So that's who I use. Yeah.
Because it seems to me you have to be a special person to be a coach. Okay, I mean, granted, you can talk. Okay, we all can talk. Okay, we all can give our advice on a situation or
Mm.
something that's going on in a person's life. But you got to develop a special skill to be able to coach someone. It's just like coaching sports. Okay,
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
as a basketball coach or a football coach, you got to develop the right plays in order to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
that's
I
what coaching is about to me.
Yeah, and I agree. And even though I do think there's a lot of coaches and a lot of them are not good coaches, I do like the idea that you don't necessarily have to go to a long degree program to offer your expertise in a particular area in your life, because life experience is the best teacher. So if
Mhm.
you have life experience from marriage, or you have life experience from raising kids, because I've even heard of parent coaching, you have life experience from starting a business, there's no reason why you can't offer that expertise to other people who are looking for it. And so that's one thing I do like about, being able to be a coach even without certification, because life experience is the best teacher. But it does take a special kind of person to be able to actually teach, because I always say, even with my own coaching, that it's one thing to have knowledge, but it's a totally different thing to teach that knowledge to somebody else. You can have it but not be a very good teacher. And so a coach has to naturally be somebody that has that gift of kind of teaching. You need to be patient. You need to be open-minded. You need to be flexible. And those kind of characteristics don't come very easy to everyone. And so it does take a special type of person to be a coach. Like I said, for myself, I was talking to people and sharpening my listening skills way before I became certified, because that was something that was already in me to do, and becoming a coach was just a very, very natural fit. So I agree.
Yeah. You have to, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have to be a good listener. You have to
Yeah.
be able to listen to what the person is feeling, the buzzwords. You have to try to figure it out, to help them figure it out if they haven't already figured it out.
Exactly.
So it's a lot to it. It's a
It
lot to it.
is. It is.
And then, like you said too, there are a lot of coaches out here. I mean, you see, got advertisements popping up on Facebook or Instagram with people offering their services as a coach and different things like that. And you might say to yourself, people might be going out here deciding they want to get a second career or change careers because they feel like they qualify to be a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And that's
know,
just the downfall of it not being a regulated industry. So everything is going to have its negatives and its positives. So the positive side is that you can actually offer your expertise in a particular area in your life that you feel like you could be helpful to other people. But then on the other end, you have a lot of people whose expertise is not that valuable.
yeah.
So yeah, and then they think that they are in a place to kind of offer that to other people, and actually they're not there yet. So
Hmm.
yeah, but that's just the benefits and drawbacks of the industry. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see people now coming up. I haven't heard of a cooking coach, but I'm pretty sure there are cooking coaches out there that teach you how to cook a meal. And call them cooking coaches and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
it, very interesting field. Very interesting field. How many clients do you have at this time?
Right now I have about 3 or 4 clients. I just recently started accepting clients again because I've been busy trying to get finished writing my book. So I have a book coming out this summer, and I needed to take a step back because I have my podcast, I have my books that I'm writing, I have my children, and so I was kind of slowing down on the coaching just for a little bit so that I can focus on those things. But I just recently started accepting clients again, and right now I have 3, and hopefully a 4th one is coming in pretty soon.
Okay, great, great, great. Okay, now let's switch in and put your author's hat on. You said that when you were a little toddler in school, in elementary school, you
Mm,
started writing books and just had a knack for writing books and
yeah.
evolved into poetry and stuff like that. what motivated you to continue on with writing books as you got older and as you went to high school and went to college and things of that nature? What has been the motivating factor that has uh, made you have a desire to be an author?
It's really hard to say because I can't say where my interest in writing came from. And I mean, I've known a lot of people around me that always say like they wish that they had something that they were doing as a kid growing up so they would like already know what they were supposed to do. Because a lot of people get lost in life, like trying to figure out what's my calling or what am I supposed to be doing and things like that. But I've always known I want to be a writer since I was a kid. And there was no one around me writing, so that it didn't rub off on me from something else. So I just say it's divine, like it's from God. He just created me to be a writer, and so my interest has always been there even before I really realized the depth of it. So I just started writing stories as a kid. I believe the first story I wrote I was in like first or second grade, maybe second grade. And from there, I've always written. If I didn't write poetry and novels and short stories, I was writing in my journal. I was writing essays, and I have always had a passion for writing. I'm able to express ideas and things through writing that sometimes it's kind of difficult for me to do when I'm talking. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it came from, and it's always been with me ever since I was a kid. So yeah.
Now, okay. I've always wanted to write a book, but I can't find I would say the motivation to put a book together.
Yeah.
How do you get past that? I mean, I'm gonna end up probably carrying it to my grave. I'm getting older, so I'm not getting no younger. So I keep pushing it off and putting it back. How does a person get motivated to put those thoughts down on paper, start developing a book?
And see, that's really where passion comes in, because what the difference between your ideas and you actually putting the work to bring them to fruition is passion. Like passion is really, really important. If you don't have the passion to do it, you're usually not going to do it. I mean, it's just that simple, And so for you, somebody who wants to write a book, but you don't necessarily have that type of passion to do that, I would look into maybe hiring somebody to do that for you, or getting a ghostwriter or something like that, because some people just don't. Like some people, I was talking to this lady last week. She has a amazing testimony about what God did for her in her life. And I asked her, when are you going to write a book about this? She's like, I tried to write a book several times. Every time I sit down and try to she said, I get frustrated. It's too confusing. I don't know where to start. She said, I just gave up. And, maybe one day if somebody can help me, then I can maybe get it out. But she already knows that she can't do it by herself. And so if you're in that situation, it would be better for you to find somebody who has that passion and piggyback on what they already are good at and interested in doing. And then all you kind of have to do is give them your ideas, and then they can help you organize and get it on paper and stuff like that. So that is what I would say, because everybody's not a writer. They're just not, everybody's not a scientist. Everybody's not a podcast host. That's just not something. But when we fall short in those things that we need to get to where we want to go, then you utilize those people who already have that gifting or that platform or things like that. So that's my suggestion.
Right. But I have noticed in the probably last 10 to 15 years, a lot of people have been writing books, whether they're great books or well-written books.
Yeah.
People have been writing books, especially in the religious area. You find a lot of people now writing books. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're just going for it.
Yeah.
But then at times, when you read the books, you kind of look, okay, all right, okay, they put this together. It might not come out like it should, but they taking the time, because everybody feels like they have that ability to write a book.
Yeah, and I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, some of those people are not writing those books themselves, like especially if they have a well-known name and things like that. Sometimes they just don't even have time. They pay somebody to, they give them the meat of the book, and then the person flushes it out. And so a lot of times, especially like with a lot of these, I guess when you want to go more towards nonfiction, but even sometimes with fiction, people have help with those. They're not really doing all of that themselves. Some of them are, but I would say a nice amount of them have help. And then even once you get, if you have like an editor or something like that, once you get the main ideas out, you just pass it on to your editor or, somebody, and they kind of help you fix it up and stuff like that. And sometimes it's not the greatest. I've got some books off of Amazon and I was like, oh my goodness, like, but a lot of times people do have help with stuff like that, and you need help with it. So even if you're writing something yourself, you should always have somebody proofread it, look at it, edit it, go over it. And when you don't do that, then that's when you come out maybe with some of the copies that you were talking about, where people trying to cut corners and save some money by not hiring somebody to help them with, with what they need help with. So yeah.
And do you assist people with writing books? Are you a publisher yet?
No, I used to be a writing coach. I was doing that some years ago before I got into this life and relationship coaching. And I don't mind doing it. I just don't have the time now. I mean, I love writing so much that I get excited about other people's stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't have any problem doing it. And I wouldn't mind doing it. And I have been approached to start a publishing company. But honestly, I just don't have the time for it now. I mean, maybe in the future I could, but with my kids, my coaching, my podcast, my books, I just don't have the time.
Right. I can understand that. That it takes a lot of time. And what did you major in? Did you major in journalism in college?
No. Okay. So this is a funny thing because, when I go apply for jobs and things like that, and people say, well, what kind of writing do you like? I like everything except journalism. I like creative writing. I like poetry. I like essays. I like fiction. I like nonfiction. I do not like journalism because it's too structured. There's so many rules in journalism that to me, it kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit. And so I was on the newspaper team in high school, or newspaper staff in high school and stuff like that. And I've written that kind of stuff and I can write it. I just don't enjoy it. Mm-hmm. But what I did major in high school was English literature. I have a concentration in culture, media, and rhetorical studies, but English literature is what my bachelor's degree is in.
Okay. Yeah. Because I'm a political science major, and I have my MBA and I have a master's in divinity. But this is what I do. I mean, I have, about 4 shows that I do. And I have a passion. I have a passion for that. I enjoy doing that. Mm. I mean, I'm not getting rich from it. I'm not getting Oprah rich, but hey, it's something I enjoy.
Right.
Relaxes me to do this kind of stuff, So it's, it's pretty good. Mm. So tell me about your podcast.
Okay, so my podcast is called Outside the Box, and the purpose of my podcast is to help people see that God is bigger than their boxes. And so it's really connected to my writing and my coaching, because I'm always in my writing, because a lot of the lessons, so I said before that I like to try to teach people lessons. It just comes naturally to me. And it comes naturally to me because I'm always thinking about the deeper meaning behind stuff. Like, I'm never stuff on face value. I want to know what's going on underneath. And so by doing that, I'm just naturally dissecting things, naturally dissecting behaviors and asking different questions. And so my writing is kind of extension of that thinking. It's basically like, I've thought about all of this stuff and I went through all this stuff in my mind and I did research here and I did research here. And this is what I came up with, of course, combined with my life experience. And so that is what my coaching is, try to help people see life from a deeper perspective. My book is to teach lessons and help people see life from a different perspective. And then the podcast just joins right on with that, just to help people see life and situations from a deeper perspective. But the added thing about my podcast is that I want people to see that God is that deeper perspective, because a lot of the times we go through things in life and we feel like God is very far from us. He's not there. Maybe he doesn't love us. Maybe he's mad at us, all these different type of things. And we don't understand that God is present all the time, even through those things that you might feel like he's not there, or you get into a really bad situation and you don't know how to get out of it, or how is God going to help me with this, or, just a lot of different things. Because when you're struggling or when you're suffering, your mind automatically gravitates towards negative thinking. And so it's just very easy to kind of feel distant from God, even though he's still right there. And so I just wanted to use my podcast again as an extension from something that I already do, but to help people to understand that God is with them through so many different tough things that you go through in your life, and a lot of stuff that Christians don't really talk about a lot of the time, because you have a lot of Christians who like to come across like they're perfect, they're holy, they have it all together. And that's not why Jesus died. Jesus didn't die for people who had it all together. So he died for us that are struggling, that want to do better, that are suffering. And so when we're not honest about what we go through as Christians, then it's a little bit of a disadvantage to maybe younger Christians, so to speak, because then they think when they start going through stuff, they must be doing something wrong, or maybe God has abandoned them and things like that. And so my show is to show all these different scenarios that where God is still there and he can help you navigate even those problems you brought on yourself. Like he will still help you navigate through those things. So I've done shows about addiction, depression. I have a show coming up very soon about suicide. I've done shows about, losing your child, adultery, just a lot of different things so people can see that God is still with them through all of that stuff.
But given everything we've been through in the last 2 years, okay, especially with COVID, with the main the driving force behind everything has been COVID.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's easy for people to ask the question, "Where is God?" When you look at the number of people that died, I was sitting back thinking about that today when I was looking at the news, and the mass mandate for transit was struck down. So now if you're on a plane, bus, train, whatever, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. And I was thinking, a couple of years ago, we were losing people like nothing, and they were just dying.
Yeah.
They were just like leaves falling off a tree.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
And then so no matter how strong your faith is and your belief, don't you think people still wonder, where's God in all of this?
Yeah.
Where is he at this time? Because this was a worldwide plague, a pandemic. We've never even seen nothing like this. You read about it in the Bible, but you never saw it in real life.
Right.
In real life, okay?
Yeah. I mean, of course, and that's the thing behind my books, my coaching, my podcast, is to help people see beyond those things, because it's very easy, especially when we're suffering, to like, hey, where's God? Why is he not doing this? Why he's not acting? But God is always there. He's always present. He's always active. He's always moving. It is our perception that limits our ability to see that. So it's like when we start suffering, our perception is focused on our suffering. God is bigger than our suffering. So if you're looking, at one part of the TV screen, of course you're only going to see that and say, well, where's God? He's the rest of the screen. You got to step back. Sometimes take your focus off of your suffering a little bit so that you can see the bigger picture. And that's not easy to do. It's really not easy to do. And it is the test of each and every human being that we have to be able to do that and to learn how to do that. And through life, it's not like you have to go from not being able to see him to now you can see him totally. It's a process. So you learn how to see him in the smaller things. And as you learn those, you start seeing him more in the bigger things. You start to trust him more. You start to see, oh, I thought that thing was going to kill me before. It did it. And I see how you brought me out of it. And so the next time you go through, you can hold on just a little bit more. And then the next time a little bit more. And so eventually the point of it is to get to a place where you can just trust God more and more. But do I think that there's any person in this life that trusts God 100% and never asks that question? I would say if it is, I would like to meet that person and have a conversation with them. But it's a growing process. And I don't think God is turned off by our questions. The problem is, because I meet a lot of people that make it seem like, especially with old school Black parenting, it's like, don't question me. Don't ask me any questions. God is not like that. God welcomes our question. The thing is, do you really want the answer, or do you just want to hear what you want to hear? So if you just want to hear what you want to hear and you're trying to hold God accountable to your small piece of the TV screen that you can see, then that's where there's a problem. But if you are ready to really hear the answer, even if it takes you outside of what you thought, what you felt, what you thought you needed, what you thought you were going to get, and just fully embrace the truth, however he gives it to you, I believe he loves answering our questions. It's just the mind frame that you're in when you ask it.
Okay. So very quick before we end the show for tonight, tell the audience about your new book you're writing.
Okay, the new one. So I just put one out in January called Speak to the Spirit. I actually have a copy of it right here. So Speak to the Spirit.
Okay.
This is a book of poems. And so the book is compiled of poems over 20 years. I think the oldest one in there I wrote when I was like 15 years old. And so it's a compilation of poems over 20 years. And it kind of goes through what you were talking about, these different stages in your walk with Christ or just life in general, because you would think the book is just all about God and this, but no, there are some things in there where I'm asking in a poem, hey, where are you at, God? Like, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, where are you? And it kind of shows the process of that. And so that book was I put out in January, and you can find it now on Amazon if anybody's interested in it. But my book that's coming out this summer is called God, Why Am I Not Married? 9 Reasons You Might Still Be Single. And that book is a series of 9 books. And so each book highlights a reason why you might still be single. And it gives you the what it looks like on the surface. So for you to connect with, okay, this might apply to me. But then where it comes from in the spiritual realm, where the root of the problem comes from. So where it comes from. And then I give you the biblical solution for that problem. And then how to kind of walk it out to get yourself positioned to get your prayers actually answered, because God is never going to give you anything that you're not ready for. So if you ask God for a Ferrari, but you don't know how to drive, he would not be a good father to give you car keys to a car you can't even drive, So he's going to make sure you can drive. He's going to make sure you know how to be responsible and take care of that car. He's going to make sure you know what to do in event you're having problems. And so a lot of times God is preparing us for marriage, but because we are so busy just looking again at our small little piece of the screen, because we just want what we want, we're not seeing the bigger picture of what he's doing to us spiritually and what he wants us to work on spiritually before he sends us what we're praying for. And so again, so that book goes through 9 different reasons why God might not be answering your prayers for a husband or a spouse, because I've had men read the book and say that they got a lot out of it too. And even married people who have read it and said, wow, I've been doing these things in my marriage and I didn't even realize it. But that's the books that I have coming out this summer.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
For our audience, we've been talking with Sage the coach tonight, Miss Stephanie. She's a certified life relationship coach. She's a preacher too, She's a writer, she's an author. She's got some good stuff with her, and I appreciate that. So Coach, where can people follow you at? How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I have a website, unveilingthespirit.com. On that page, you can find a free coaching session. I offer free coaching sessions, one free coaching session for anybody who wants to give me a test run to see if I can help them. Now, I will admit that I cannot help everybody because some topics are just kind of out of my wheelhouse, but you can look at my website, unveilingthespirit.com, look under coaching programs to kind of see if you think I'm a good fit for you. If you think so, schedule a free session and we can, talk about that. And then I also have my books there. Both of my books, Speak to the Spirit and God, Why Am I Not Married? And then I also have my podcast there. And sometimes I do webinars from time to time, and those are on there as well. So www.unveilingthespirit.com. And then I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube under Outside the Box. So that's the name of my podcast, Outside the Box. If you look it up, you should quickly be able to find me. And you can also find those links on my webpage, unveilingthespirit.com.
Okay. Well, I tell you, Miss S, Reverend S, Dr. S, we have enjoyed talking to you tonight. I mean, you really have. This has been a pleasure. I really have enjoyed sitting down and talking to you about coaching, about your podcast, about your writing. And I think our listeners and our audience they're taking in a lot of nuggets tonight. You're giving out a lot of nuggets to help us continue on our journey on a daily basis. So,
Yeah.
what's the last word you want to say to the audience?
I guess I would say, like, we need all the help we can get. I mean, this walk, I mean, I'm not sure if your audience is, Christian audience or what, but it's, even without being a Christian or with being Christian, life is difficult. It's not easy. And we need all the help we can get. So when you come across, even your podcast, my podcast, people, coaches, books, and things that can help you, you really need to take advantage of those things, because again, experience is the greatest teacher, and we need all the help that we can get to make our life, align with what we desire it to be, as close as we can get it, because it's difficult to get it there exactly, but we definitely need help to get there. So don't be afraid to reach out. Again, you can take a coaching session from me. You can read a book if it's not my book. Find things that inspire you, find things that help you, find things that give your path, make your path in life a little bit clearer. So that's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
To our audience, thank you for watching Urban Sentinel Live tonight. I'm your host, Reggie Kearney. And with me tonight, I've had the pleasure to sit down and talk with Sage the coach. She gave you her information. Go to the websites, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, to find her and support her. Okay, support her in what she's doing. And if you need a coach, she's got a free coaching class, coaching opportunity where she can coach you. Take advantage of that. We all need a little guidance and direction in our lives. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with asking. I think we'd be in a better place mentally if we would just sometimes stop and ask the question, how can I do this? How can you help me?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So again, Sage, thanks for being part of the Urban Sentinel Live show. To the audience, thank you for watching. I will see you next Monday night. Everyone take care. Have a great rest of the week. Be safe. And hey, I'm still wearing my mask. I don't know about y'all. Okay? You know what I'm saying. Okay.
Yes,
Good night,
I do.
everyone.
All right. Goodbye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.